Hey everybody, it's Conscious Medium Brandon Ross. I want to thank you all for joining me here today. Don't forget to click like and subscribe. And hey, I have a new option, everybody. You can actually join the channel and have two different levels here. I'll talk about that a little bit further on. But you can join exclusive content, behind the scenes stuff, also videos before they're released, and most importantly, full videos that will never be public. So today, August the 3rd is the day of reckoning for Alex Jones. It's kind of an interesting saga, and those of you that don't know him, here is the 20-second summary. He was a bombastic accusator of all things conspiracy. Everything from 9/11 to the moon landing to the Bilderberg group to Sandy Hook and other school shootings. He's on trial in Austin, and he was being brought to task by the families of the shootings, particularly of Parkland as well as Sandy Hook. And when he was brought to trial, there was a lot of rigmarole about where it could be held, how it was to be done, and all of this other stuff. And just a few days ago at the start of the trial, the judge actually put the smack down and basically said, "This is not your show, Mr. Jones. You are on trial. This is a difference." It's an indicator as to how it is that he himself has never really held himself to be accountable. Now, I want to bring in the actual chart for not only Alex himself, but then also about the day, August 3rd, and some key players that are involved with this. So Alex's chart, actually, it doesn't have a date time. Ironically, if we're going to be ironic about all of this, Alex Jones, you cannot find his birth time. This guy that's about exposing everybody else has never let his birth time be public. Now, maybe it's unknown, but I just kind of see that to be kind of funny, right? Come on, Alex, it's called spade to spade. You're holding some stuff close to the vest. So you have to put emphasis not necessarily on the houses, but rather on the planets, which we're more than happy to do, because when you look at this, he has a perfect trine here going on. He is absolutely rocking the air qualities here. He's got his air, his sun in Aquarius. He has his moon in Libra. He has his Jupiter, or Saturn rather, here in Gemini. So this is a combination where he could be an overthinker. Stop me if you think this might apply. Go ahead, click like and subscribe, and go ahead down below, start to make your comments known. There's a really kind of interesting part of all of this. There's three aspects that really kind of jump out at me. First of all, this great trine about how essentially this conjunct with his moon and Uranus is completing a try of the South Node and Saturn. So Saturn is about structure. The South Node is about comfort. So the structural comfort thing is really in question. Well, then you have the Sun in a near conjunct to Jupiter and his Sun in Aquarius. I mean, they're right on top of each other. It's true conjunct. And by the way, all of these are true conjuncts. They're not wide conjuncts. They're absolute conjuncts. So Jupiter, Saturn, and the Moon, or Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, that is a trine that will get you in trouble. That is a trine that will absolutely... So it's about exploding energies in Jupiter. It's about the rebellion in Uranus. And then the target is going to be the structure. This guy is a mayhem guy. He's all about the mayhem. It's in his chart, right? And oh, by the way, there's some other dynamics about how he communicates, about, Venus being here in Capricorn along with his Lilith. That to me is like I think he might naturally hate things like women. He might, naturally hate things like people. Like, he's not a people person with that combination, especially with this trine going on. And again, I'm not accusing him of anything, but then you kind of have this wide conjunct to the moon, and then what goes on with Mars in Taurus. Well, the energy right now in Taurus is a Mars conjunct along with Uranus in the North Node. By the way, his North Node is sitting here in Sagittarius. When the North Node sits in Sagittarius has a tendency... By the way, there's no such thing as a bad sign, and everybody's got some good and bad in everything. Whenever we point out anything, and so as an astrologer points out anything, we're trying to give it equal time, right? So your North Node in Sagittarius, exploration, curious, wanting to get out there. Your purpose may be directly attached to me never combing my hair. Did I really not even comb my hair before I started this? Thank you very much, everybody. It's like being in like the 3rd month of quarantine with this foot up. Anyways, so this Sagittarius North Node action here is mutually independent. There's nothing necessarily kind of acting upon it. So it doesn't have any balances, right? By the way, the North Node is that, it's also known as the Bull's Head, sitting there at basically 12 noon, 12:15 anyways, in the chart that we're showing here. And he doesn't have balance. Even the South Node in the balance of Gemini is an overthinker, right? He's very comfortable with overthinking that everybody's after him. His North Node and his destiny is going to be really difficult to come together on. He has a really difficult time coming to fruition, if you will. Moreover, he's got Neptune not too far away in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is with Neptune in it. This age group, Alex Jones is like 4 weeks older than me, not even. And what's interesting is that I have some of these similar placements, but how they play out for me is more of like a rocket. We talk about that rocket and that comfortable thing about like pushing you forward, because I have other aspects that play together with it. With him, it's like the cheese stands alone, man. This North Node in Sagittarius is also prone to being so all in and thinking you're so right that you have no brakes at all on the wagon. He is all throttle all the time. He wants to go too far. Sagittarius is known for having addictive-like qualities with passions, whether your passion be the drug of choice or the social cause, the whatever. He has nothing to balance him. Good Lord. He's been a train wreck since birth. But the reason why this kind of came to a head, and I want to, and I'm not getting too much into the angles of this because it's tough to do with any and all of, whenever you don't have a birth time necessarily. But let's take a look at the action of the day. This was at about, give or take, about an hour or so. Whenever, I'm going to show you guys a video here in a second. I'm going to give you my commentary, how this is connected to all of this. So you've got this at about 3 o'clock, and again, this is just how it's set up. It's in the 2nd house here, the Taurus conjunct of the North Node, Uranus, and Mars. There's plenty of videos out there. Penny and I talk about it. Penny has her own exclusive stuff. Got to check her out if you haven't already. I always put a link below. I think she's the best astrologer out there. There's other great ones, not knocking any of them, but I'm going to tell you my friend Penny's pretty awesome. But this Taurus action is about, what are you going to become? That friction of, are you going to get your shit together or aren't you? Right? It's also it's got some influence about what's going on in U.S. politics for more than one politician, by the way. Both sides of the aisle look like a train wreck. It looks like downtown Beirut 1983. My regards to everybody in there. But the dynamic here is that the energy, what we're looking at right here is the astrological weather. Well, the sun's in Leo, right? We just had this conjunct with Mercury rather. You're absolutely kind of in your passion mode. You're between your verbal and your passions here with Venus being here in Cancer. And oh, by the way, what are these? The 10th house in Aquarius, or the 10th house rather in Leo, in opposition to Aquarius today. This is about bringing structure to what the hell this person is doing. And why is this in opposition? By the way, it's that really nice blue line right there in the middle. So this Aquarian Saturn thing going on is absolutely playing and wreaking havoc on this. Now just take a look just a little bit to the left here. How about a little Pluto action sitting here in Capricorn? Well, that is taking down in a direct trine, or in a direct sextile to Mercury. Right? And we're in opposition of Venus. All the things he hates are actually, listen, he is the perfect storm of this chart wreaking havoc in his life. And by the way, people that recognize that they've made mistakes are humble. People that recognize it like, oh boy, I shouldn't have treated you that way. Or you know what, I was a little over my skis. Yeah, you guys caught me. I was a little bit of a showboater. This son of a bitch was going to the mat to say everything was false. This son of a bitch had no problem telling everybody how wrong they were, and he knew better. Sound like anybody else? And by the way, it's coming to a head for him in such a way that it's going to be financial ruin because, and I have to say this, and again, I'm not speculating here, some of the action in this 8th house here, it's empty. There is no other people's money. He's not going to get sponsors. He's not going to. This 8th house is empty. Then again, so is the 2nd house. Alex Jones, as a human, I'm going to say to you, I really hope that you understand and learn what's going on here. That your need for compassion is absolute. By the way, the moon is in Libra right now, just like you. You have to begin to learn that there's a balance of this, and that you went all in on something that didn't necessarily make sense. Now listen, I'm going to show a video here that is, it's going to be all over the internet by the end of the day here, so I have no problem. Oh, hi, how you doing, Mr. Source? There we go. It's just going to start playing here.
So you did get my text messages. It said you did. Nice trick.
So what you're seeing here is the attorney representing the parents basically are bringing in evidence that not only did he have an ongoing dialogue about what went on in Sandy Hook, but also there was a conspiracy to what he was doing on his television program, and it was about ratings.
Digital copy of your entire cell phone with every text message you've sent for the past 2 years, and when informed, did not take any steps to identify it as privileged or protect it in any way. And as of 2 days ago, it fell free and clear into my possession. And that is how I know you lied to me when you said you didn't have text messages about Sandy Hook. Did you know that?
I told you the truth. This is your Perry Mason moment. I gave them my phone, and then
Mr. Jones, you need to answer.
He's still in character. This is how you can tell somebody's not in remorse. He's still in character.
And you said in your deposition, you searched your phone. You said you pulled down the text, did the search function for Sandy Hook. That's what you said, Mr. Jones, correct?
and I had several different phones with this number, but I did, yeah. Well, of course, I mean, that's why you got it.
No, Mr. Jones, that's not what I got.
My lawyer sent it to you, but I'm hiding it. Okay.
Mr. Jones,
Mr. Jones,
please
that,
just answer questions. There's no question. Mr. Benson also only asks questions.
sure. Mr. Jones, in discovery.
He's looking at his lawyer for a reason, a good reason.
Sandy Hook text messages on your phone, and you said no, correct? You said that under oath. Didn't you?
If I was mistaken.
So he's now convicted of perjury as well. They've added on another count of perjury. He basically lied under oath that he had certain specific knowledges, and then the phone basically showed everything.
I'm not a tech guy. I told you, I gave in my testimony the phone to the lawyers before or whatever, and so you got my phone, but we didn't give it to you.
No, Mr. Jones, one more time. Please remember, you need to assert the Fifth Amendment if you can. I need to know that you can do that. But you testified under oath previously that you personally searched your phone for the phrase Sandy Hook and there were no messages. You said that under oath.
Yes.
And you lied when you said it.
No, I did not lie.
So he still absolutely doesn't take ownership. He's saying he didn't lie because he's caught. In that moment, somebody that is with his chart, and again, I'm truly going back to the charts here. In his chart, he had the capacity, this sweet spot of the moon sitting here in Libra, with a conjunct to Uranus. He could have really genuinely, like, he could have had this come up in a moment and used this energy and said, you know what, damn it, guys, I feel like I'm under attack. And just to set the record straight, of course I had that. I wasn't going to incriminate myself. My lawyer just did it for me, and I'll take it up with him. You know, if he had used this fight and kind of been there and just been like a human and say, I've been through a lot in my life, or whatever the deal is. And I'm not saying that, you know, to appeal to compassion here, because what he did, he's a piece of shit about the whole thing. But his opportunity to have used his own ability to say, you know what, I was overthinking this. I was paranoid. I was whatever. I'm into alcohol. I'm into pot. I'm into whatever. I go over my skis. I was making boatloads of money with this stuff, and people were eating it up. I got caught up in the frenzy of this. You're right. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done it this way. And again, yes, I know he was caught. Yes, I know his lawyer should be disbarred. I mean, what he did was essentially, his lawyer just basically said, listen, you know all those things that he said that he never did? Well, here's a phone full of it. Here's a phone full of records. He just hit a reply all and sent it to the opposing side. He basically sent the plans for the Death Star to the rebellion. That's basically what he did. Right? No R2-D2, no Leia, no swing across the pit, no Obi-Wan might still be with us today. You know, like, there was nothing there that was, his lawyer didn't protect him. Even his lawyer didn't protect him. That is when you know the truthfulness is coming out. This is when you know that this energy right here, you could lawyer up, but you're still not going to get through this. That's the thing, guys. That is a very, very, very real thing. And now I just want to say another word here about this woman here. I'm going to wrap this up. Her name is Scarlett Lewis, and she lost a child to Sandy Hook. Her and her husband both testified in this. And I will say this as a medium, and I can never divulge the specifics. But there's enough weight behind us, and moreover, there's enough ambiguity with what I'm about to say. I have sat with a family who lost a child in Sandy Hook. And I am going to tell you flat out that not only is it real, it is also very compelling of what happened after that event, of the storm that Alex Jones created. It was a conspiracy-laden, nondescript, zero fact-based attack on families in grief. He took full advantage of people's pain. That's his sin. That's his sin. His sin is not necessarily discussing it or speculating or any of that. It's that then when things kind of came out, in Scarlett Lewis in particular, I'm going to speak about her in a moment, but when they specifically said, dude, we have like bodies that we buried, and you're saying it's a conspiracy. You're saying these people are actors. You're saying that they acted funny when the camera was on. And they're like, is this the way you act when your kid's been shot? I've never had my kid assassinated at school. I might act weird. What Scarlett Lewis did at the beginning of this trial, and I'll actually post something of the words that she said to him. She did 3 things, and they were amazing. The first thing is she held him accountable without any of his guff. Good job by you, Scarlett. You did something that his parents failed in. His family, the people around him, his agents, his people, whatever. That was braver than anything. The second thing is you showed him compassion. He clearly made a mistake and he's clearly wrong, and you were still compassionate to him because you looked him in the eye, you wouldn't let him be distracted, and you clearly said to him, you should probably pull up the video, but I'm not a body language expert, but I'm here to tell you that what she did right is important for the path of the soul. And last but not least, she gave him an opportunity to fully understand where this sits with him. Not Scarlett, not Scarlett's husband, not their children's father, not the other victims' families, but with him. She said a very harrowing statement and said, I had to deal with my loss of safety. I had to deal with the loss of my child. I had to deal with the loss of my family. While you capitalized on the words that you used to do nothing but drive the stake through me more. I'm paraphrasing, but she said something along those lines and really drove it home to him. She even offered him water in the middle of her testimony. She treated him with compassion. She looked her assailant in the eye and basically gave him the forgiveness out, and he didn't take it. That has a karmic value all its own, and it's not up to us to decide what that karma is or say karma's going to get you. We don't understand enough about karma. Get off your high horse. You're arrogant. But I will tell you that Scarlett Lewis is a whole breed of person that is elevating the human consciousness. I'm going to put the link below, and I'm going to encourage you to watch it. It's heart-wrenching. Back on the topic of actually sitting with those families, I've sat with families in all sorts of losses. Sandy Hook, 9/11, the list goes on. House fire, even to personal things, house fires and people that die on the job, and right? I have to keep my mental health up so I can be good for them and not look at them as weakness or challenges, or certainly not within judgment. But when I saw what she did, I felt vindicated as a medium, because I'm recognizing that people that are attached to tragedy, that don't identify themselves as the tragedy. By the way, that's the other thing that you brought up to Alex. You're making me be identified as a tragedy and attached to a tragedy. My child was bigger than that. Alex Jones was minimizing all of it. Forget about the flat out disrespect. He was minimizing their pain. He was minimizing their sorrow. I want to sign off here on this one. And quite frankly, pray for Alex Jones. I want him to recognize that this angry-faced buffoon was a shtick and an act. And listen, I'll be the first person to tell you, his Bilderberg stuff, I kind of got into it. Didn't really get into the moon landing stuff, and 9/11 I thought was, he didn't really offer anything. He just regurgitated stuff. So I think he really had a need to find a niche here. He's Donald Trump's ex-best friend in a lot of ways. And just like Donald, I will pray for him too, for the reasons that the stars are giving you an opportunity to get this right. You're a piece of shit from 1996 to 2017, when your show got taken off of every major platform, every freaking one of them, as it should have been. And you can yell about the First Amendment right. You abused the First Amendment. Your rights end at the tip of my nose. You were punching the families of pain in the face and laughing and harrowing on like it was your job. Your job moving forward is nothing but atonement. I really hope Alex Jones finds himself. He can blame addiction. He can blame ego. I'm going to look at his chart and tell him he could have not had this moment, this tower moment. He could have absolutely had this moment and said, guys, I was a shtick. But his ego is in the way. That sometimes happens when you have that grand trine, whether it's air, fire, water, earth. I almost said the other one. And then I would have gotten 200 Capricorn emails. But what I'd like for you right now to do is to like and subscribe. Consider joining this channel, as I'm going to be building some really great, cool content for you on your path. I have a couple of different levels, and the way that it's designed is so that then not only can you see really great content like this, but also things like in-depth astrology, in-depth tarot cards, regular tarot card work, and intuitive development, not to mention classes on consciousness, meditation, crystals, and so much more. Consider liking and subscribing just to keep tabs on me for now, but go ahead and jump in and become a member of this channel. Thanks again so much. I'm going to give you guys a heart tap and tell each other to keep going, to give prayer to the world so that then we can begin to understand this age of Aquarius and what our role is. See you guys soon. Take care.